The automotive world is moving towards an existence of hybridized power and electricity, and our supercars aren't exempt from this change. From the LaFerrari's hybrid-assisted V12 to the likes of Rimac with their 200-mile-an-hour all-electric hypercar. Even though there's no denying that the supercars of today are far better in every way than those of old, we can't help but reminisce about how they used to be. While we may be in the sunset years of the internal combustion supercar, we want to take a look back through rose-tinted glasses at where it all began. If you ask people where the supercar started, you'll likely receive this as the answer: the Lamborghini Miura. But why? What made the Miura the first ever supercar? Firstly, there was the layout. Up until its creation, the idea of a mid-engine production car was alien to the world. Other than limited examples like the GT40 race car, it hadn't been done before. However, Lamborghini wasn't satisfied with just defying the status quo. The engine was mounted transversely, unlike all other examples of mid-engine layouts. This was to concentrate weight closer to the centre of the car and to allow for a boot in the back, regardless of how small it was. Nowadays, finding a supercar that isn't mid-engined is a big surprise, and you have the Miura to thank for that. Second was the sheer performance. The Miura received the heart from its older, more stately brother, the 400 GT. The 3.9-litre lump was good for 345 horsepower in the early cars, nearly 100 horsepower more than the most comparable Ferrari, the 275 GTB, and over 200 horsepower more than the Porsche 911 of the day. This power in a chassis lighter than the Ferraris resulted in a 0 to 60 time of 6.3 seconds, nearly half a second quicker than the 275. It wasn't just acceleration it dominated, as the Miura had a top speed of around 170 miles an hour, making it the fastest car in the world at that point. For perspective, that's over 3 times the top speed of a 1966 Fiat 500, the most popular car in Italy at the time. Making a car that was anywhere near the performance of a Ferrari was an accomplishment in itself, but the Miura threw that out the window. Not only were Ferrari sports cars no longer comparable, no sports cars were comparable. It trailblazed its way into a new class of performance. Lastly was the Ethos. The sports cars of the day were dual purpose: a big engine up front, comfy seats with all of the amenities in the middle, and a boot big enough for your suitcases and bags of money in the back. The Miura wasn't about that. Of course, stepping inside one is still like inserting yourself into a miniature tannery, but it was about driving fast. It didn't care if you wanted to drive over to the south of France on a jolly with your pals. It didn't come with branded luggage bags and a big boot. It came with a singing V12 and more power than anything that didn't have wings and a pilot. The interior consisted of a rev counter and a speedo front and centre, and your important dials in the centre console tilted towards you. It was all business. In the early cars, the likes of AC and radio weren't optional extras. They were something you had to persuade the factory to install for you. The car was meant to be driven and nothing else. The Miura has and always will be the start of the car world's fascination with putting the height of power and technology into something that's as comfortable on the M25 as it is on the Mulsanne Straight. Whether you like it or not, it's a car that deserves the respect it earned. And when the time comes for us to finally say goodbye to the internal combustion supercar, the Miura won't just be seen as one of the firsts, it'll be seen as one of the greats. What car do you want us to look at through rose-tinted glasses next? Let us know in the comments below.